Hi, I'm Gary Larson, and this is my 1956 Cessna 172.
The Cessna 172 is one of the most popular aircraft of all time. First produced over 60 years ago in 1956, over 45,000 of the aircraft have been built. Originally sold for $9,000 back in the 1950s, you can pick a used one up today for $25,000 or a brand new one up for $300,000. On this flight, we had a pretty serious case of wind shear approaching landing. So let's take a closer look at this airplane, talk to Gary, the owner, and then take it up in the air.
Kind of a late in life thing. I'd always, loved flying, but never really had the time and the money at the same time to pursue it. And I was in my mid-40s, and the company I worked for was moving operations, wanted me to stay here, and paid me a nice retention bonus. And I thought, well, gee, now I've got the money. So learned to fly down at Meacham, and have been flying ever since. Probably for the first 2 years after I got my license, I was renting airplanes, and this side of the Metroplex didn't really have any flying clubs that like there are now. And so I begged my wife and pleaded and made my case, and she said, well, okay, you can buy an airplane. And she said we ought to call it Independence One, because it's your independence from renting, and then your independence to go wherever you want, when you want. Because those that know about rental airplanes is you normally have to be back at a certain time because the next guy wants it. So that's kind of why I ended up buying a plane. Well, I learned in 150s and 152s, and it was just high wing. They're very common, easy to work on. Parts are available, so cheaper to own than say a lesser known airplane, maybe a more fun airplane, but a lesser known airplane. This is a 1956 model Cessna 172. That's the first year they made 172s. 172 is the most produced airplane, most common airplane. There's been like 44 or 45,000 built. This one is got the Continental 0300. It's a 145 horse engine, so it's a little slower, a little less climb than the new ones with the 180 horse Lycoming. But the issue for me is getting to fly, and if it takes me 10 more minutes to get somewhere, that's just 10 more minutes of flying. Typically cruise about 95 knots, about an 8 gallon an hour fuel burn. So it's not strikingly fast, but it's faster than driving your car. It's got about a 4.5 hour range, so I can get down to the coast on a single tank if I wanted to. Sometimes my bladder might not last 4.5 hours, but the plane will. Well, the downside is it's 60-something years old, so parts are sometimes harder to find. Obviously, it's an airplane, so they're very expensive when you do find them. It'd be nice if it was faster and climbed higher, but end of the day, there's not a whole lot of downsides to them other than just that wouldn't be to any other airplane. The purchase price of an airplane like this is similar to a nice bass boat. If you could buy one of those. The maintenance, I do a lot of the owner maintenance, any type of preventative maintenance, changing the oil and things like that are legal to do. I do an owner-assisted annual, which you have to do the annual inspection every year, and I come out and basically strip the airplane down, remove the cowlings and the inspection ports, take the interior seats out, things like that, get it all ready. Then the A&P can come and just look. And then, he inspects it, we fix whatever he finds wrong, and then I button it back up. And that's kind of my way of knowing my airplane better, number one, but number two, saving a little bit of money, because I'm not paying the A&P to do grunt work that anybody can do. A couple of things, I do a lot of Young Eagle flights, and other people that maybe not Young Eagles, but just other people interested in aviation, friends that have never been up, and the typical $100 hamburger runs. The Young Eagle flights, we typically, I'm part of a Nate Able flying club we won the AOPA giveaway airplane a few years ago, and so we do a yearly event, and it's nateableflyingclub.org, and we usually do it on Memorial Day, and here at Hicks and the Beacon Restaurant. They serve a pancake breakfast for tips, and it's all all towards helping defray the cost of young people learning to fly in that club. I think it's challengeair.org as well. and they, they're a 501c3, and they are, take donations and what have you. But it's very worthwhile flying. You fly one of those kids, and you realize how fortunate you are that your kid doesn't have the same challenges and what have you, and the parents are so appreciative because this is a very happy day for their kids, and the gist of that organization is we take them flying, and if they're able, when we're at altitude, we let them take the controls for a little bit, and then when they get them back on the ground, they take them in. They say, "Look, you just flew an airplane. What else can you do?" And so it's probably some of the most rewarding flying I've ever done. Most people, that are used to modern airplanes don't know what a Venturi is. Some people ask me, "Gee, why are the horns on the side of your plane?" And I jokingly tell them that's to keep everybody out of my way. But what these are Venturi, and as the air goes through, it creates a Venturi and a vacuum. Well, more modern planes have a pump, a vacuum pump, and it's to power two of the instruments inside. Part of it, is since it's Venturi powered, suction powered. If you lose electrical, then those two instruments will continue to work. And vice versa. So it's kind of part of the redundancy of an airplane. This one has two. It's got the same amount of vacuum as a vacuum pump. It just these earlier model airplanes, they just didn't have vacuum pumps then, and so this was how they did it. You'll start getting good vacuum on climb out at about 60, 75 miles an hour. So 75 miles an hour, you'll start getting good vacuum. It's not something you want to immediately take off into the clouds with, because you don't have the vacuum up and the instruments spun up appropriately before you enter the clouds. So typically, if you were going to go into the clouds, you'd circle the airport enough to get the vacuum up and get the instruments up and running. Well, the eyes came. My grandson loves the movie Planes. I decided that he needed to see. If I could put some eyes in my airplane. I was surfing on Amazon trying to find him some toys, and this popped up, and so I ordered it. And the first time he saw it, he immediately said out. He wanted to get out of his car seat and come in and see and touch and what have you, even though he'd seen the plane a dozen times before. Having the eyes personalized it for him, so it's just kind of a fun thing I've added to it. On the ground, we have to take them down when we go flying, because unlike the movie, it needs a real pilot. For the most part, it's just a fun toy. I don't golf, I don't fish, I don't hunt, so spend all my money on this.
All right, well, you ready to go fly?
You bet.
Let's do it. Gary pulled out the airplane, and we were ready to go fly.
Now, one of the things, it actually has a pull start.
Right. I've seen that on an old 170.
Yeah, same. So this has more in common with the 170.
Yeah.
Clear prop.
That's still pretty weird. Did a full start.
Yeah.
The airframe's only got 3,800 hours on it.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, it by virtue of some of the more modern,
Right.
it's got less hours than most of the trainers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 3,800 hours is pretty low time for an airplane this old.
Oh yeah. You can see I'm getting about 2 inches of mercury right now from the Venturis.
Yeah.
So it's starting to spin these up. It's not bringing them up to full, but it's starting to spin them up.
So even though you're a VFR or IFR certified airplane, it still takes a while for it to have to take off VFR.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You would want to take off and be able to circle the airport long enough to make sure they came up and stabilized.
So you can't take off in like a 200 or 300 foot.
I mean, I guess you could if you were stupid, but
right.
Not advisable.
Yeah.
Fixed traffic, maroon and white RV is departing runway 14 with a right turn out to the southwest 6. Fixed traffic, Tower 2, Alpha Charlie, turning left base, runway 14 fixed.
Seatbelts on, and we are ready to go fly.
Yeah, I think that was. I don't think there was anybody else online.
I don't think so. We'll do a little circle here to he'd bounce a little bit.
Yeah, it looks clear to me.
wind from that train was playing havoc on the Citabria.
Hicks traffic, Citabria 2 Alpha Charlie is clear, deactive, Hicks.
Hicks traffic, Skyhawk 6901 at Alpha, taking runway 14, right turnout, Hicks. Airspeed alive.
Little bouncy today.
A little bit.
And they got that front bounce coming through.
Yeah.
275. On over.
Yeah, I can see how landing next to that train would mess you up a little.
Yeah.
Wow, it's hazy out here too. So when you go out here just flying around for fun, where do you normally go?
A lot of times I'll go to Stephenville, a little Hard 8 barbecue, run up to Bridgeport for cheaper fuel,
Yeah.
Gainesville for fuel. I got some friends out in Graham, I'll fly out and see them.
Amazing how much. How much is fuel here?
It's like 4.5, give or take.
It's like almost $1 cheaper over there.
Right, yeah, so basically the flight up there is free.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic in this particular corridor because you've got obviously Hicks traffic, you've got inbound to Meacham coming over us, and then you've got inbound to the Joint Reserve Base.
Yeah.
We've got Copeland's airfield back over there. Not a lot of, there's some helicopter traffic that's in there, but not a lot of, they may have 2 or 3 jet flights a day.
Going to the Naval Air Base there.
Yep.
2 jets. Yeah, I was based out of Meacham for about 5 years.
Okay.
I flew over this all the time.
Yeah, I learned to fly out of Meacham.
There's definitely some wind out of the south right now because you
Yeah.
have been crabbed over. Really hazy out here today, though.
Yeah.
Pretty bad visibility.
That's why it's nice to have ADSB
Yeah.
in and on the iPad, so at least you can pick up those that are reporting.
Yeah.
It doesn't catch everything.
There was a comment on a video the other day about how he thought that the ADSB and all the graphical displays on there was making everybody less safe. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Well, it's just, to me, it's another tool
It is.
that you use. It doesn't relieve you of your responsibility, your VFR responsibilities of seeing and avoiding other traffic. It just gives you another tool.
Right.
I guess where people think it's unsafe is that if you lost those fancy displays, what would you do? Well, okay. And that's the nice thing with the technology we have now with the Stratus and the iPad running ForeFlight.
And your phone.
Yeah, and the phone's running ForeFlight as well. Plus all the instruments in the plane.
Yeah.
To me, it's safer.
Yeah, it's more redundant.
Yeah.
And you get more information, and more information's never hurt anybody flying.
Nope.
You got to look outside, but there's been plenty of times when I've been even flying on an IFR flight plan or VFR and didn't have all that stuff.
Yep.
And first thing I see is, oh wow, that airplane's close.
Yep.
You're not always going to see.
Yeah, see, now we've got 5 inches of mercury and
your instruments are up. Yeah.
everything's spooled up, and you look down at the ground, we're just being pushed.
Yeah.
There are worse ways to spend a weekday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, you talking about earlier how the guys spent 65 days?
65 days, two men, 65 days inside of this style airplane, or this type airplane.
And so the way they would do that is, and for the people that are watching that we were talking about earlier, is that they had a pace car that would follow along on the highway, and then they'd run a hose up to them as they flew slow above them and refuel the airplane and give them water and food and all that.
Right.
I just can imagine 5 days.
Yeah, this is not a lot of room.
No.
You know, you start thinking about your human necessities, and I don't really want to share that with anyone.
No,
or anyone else's. You know, so there's no place to hide in here.
Yeah. I mean, they said they took the back seat out.
They took the passenger in the back seat out.
Yeah.
So you could literally lay down, but you know,
trying to go to the bathroom.
you got to go to the bathroom and
take a shower and all that stuff.
Apparently they made a step out on the landing gear, so they would actually stand outside and do a shower in the wind, which you know.
Hopefully they were strapped in.
Yeah, or warm water or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not something that I would ever think would be a great idea.
Yeah, I'd love to interview those guys, but if they did that back in the 50s, they may not be around anymore.
That's exactly right. Hicks area traffic, Skyhawk 6918 Alpha is over Copeland, inbound, full stop Hicks. And that is just crabbing us. I don't think it's going to pick it up on the camera, but I don't know if I've been a while since I've flown in any wind that's at altitude that's doing this.
Strong. Well, on the ground, at least it's still straight up and down the runway there.
Yep. I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, it is there. It's runway 14 at Hicks.
Yeah, it's 1-4, so
it'd be a little different.
It'd be a little off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, Hicksville, I got a ton of hangars there.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people live out there.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we were looking to buy another house a few years back. And
Number 5 on the 2-mile final main pad landing south, Carlos.
I spent a lot of time trying to talk her into the virtues of a hangar home at Hicks. And she said, no. I need lawn, I need grass, and I went, well, they got little patches of grass in front of them, and she wasn't here, so we ended up buying a couple of hangars a few years back, and we actually bought a house about 5 miles from here, so we're pretty close to the airplane, so I can pop out, and work on and do something, clean it up or whatever, and
there's lots of airport communities that have a real house on them these days. Stuff.
Yeah.
Those are pretty pricey though.
Yeah, Pecan Plantation is a real nice place, but I don't think I could buy a hangar there for what I spent on my house. So.
Right.
Hicks traffic, Skyhawk 6918 Alpha is over the top, being in left downwind for 14 Hicks. Hicks traffic, Skyhawk 18 Alpha, turning left downwind for 14 Hicks. Degrees of flaps. Johnson bar.
Yeah.
Alright, seatbelts on, doors still. Okay, doors still locked. We are good to go.
Yeah, I never knew why Cessna went over to the electric flaps. It's such a simple system.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Hicks traffic, Skyhawk 18 Alpha, turning left base for 14 Hicks. Yeah, and also it's got 40 degrees available, so I can literally helicopter this thing in if I have to. Hicks traffic, Skyhawk 6918 Alpha, turning final for 14 Hicks.
Yeah, you're gonna have about a 40, 50 degree crosswind here.
Yep.
Traffic Centurion 3 Twitch over the lake of 2000, inbound for 14 Hicks. I'll be reporting over the top midfield for left downwind 14 full stop.
There you go. That was a little bit of wind shear too.
Yeah, I was about to go around.
Yeah, it was good.
And then
Good
it
job.
stopped.
Then it stopped. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
thinking. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
Fixed traffic 18 Alpha is clearly active. Yeah, that one, I was like, we were sinking to, I was just about to hit it, and then it's like, okay.
well done.
Take a look at the altimeter in reference to sea level. As soon as we reach 830 feet, it drops about 80 feet in 1 second.
Well, Gary, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for flying with me.
Hey, it was a pleasure. It's pretty cool airplane, pretty neat. So
Appreciate it.
let's go do it again sometime.
We will.
All right. Well, thank you for watching another episode of Flying Doodles. It was a lot of little treat. He did a really good job there. There was some wind shear on landing, and I got, he handled it very well, did it good. So please click the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. If you're really enjoying it, patreon.com/flyingdoodles. That's kind of how we fund this whole thing.